In this video, I'm going to change the number plates on my Tesla Model Y. So why do you need a video to change the plates on a Tesla? Well, it's because there's various options here, and it's because the Teslas use this mounting frame arrangement to mount the original plate. And some people don't like this bezel around their number plates. So you can remove that. You can also remove the mounting plate at the back, and many people just go with a vinyl stick-on plate on the front, because on the Tesla this front bumper is quite curved, but those vinyl stick-on plates aren't actually legal in the UK unless your vehicle is 1972 or older. So I'm going to use standard acrylic plates for the replacement, and also if you have an acrylic plate made up, they won't actually fit in this frame because these frames are designed for aluminium plates, which are thinner. So if you've got an acrylic plate, you can't actually mount it in the original Tesla frame anyway. Also, Tesla don't actually mount these very well. So the original back plate curves, yet the front plate is flat and straight. So you get this gap. And they only use 2 screws, I think, behind there. But actually on mine, they didn't even mount it central. So it overhangs a bit there, and it doesn't overhang on that side. So they haven't mounted this particularly well, but there's a bit of play there as well. So we're going to get rid of that at the same time. And it's more exaggerated on the back plate. Again, you've got the same mounting frame holding the aluminium plate with a backing piece of plastic to give you that flat surface. That isn't fixed particularly well, but the front frame, again, I think there's only 2 screws, and it's all a bit wobbly. So it doesn't rattle when you drive, but when the boot slams down, this does rattle a bit. So we can improve that. In my case, I'm putting a cherished registration on the vehicle, and I've owned this for nearly 30 years, I guess, and I only paid £249 for it. And this has been on retention now for 2 years, so I've been meaning to put this on the Tesla for quite a long time. So let's do this front one first. So first off, we've got to get the original plate out of the frame, and you just lever the bottom section off and then hook that out the sides. So if you were just changing your number plate to a cherished registration, if you want to do this really easily, just get an aluminium plate made up and not an acrylic one, and then you can then replace that plate and keep the existing Tesla frame. But I want to get rid of at least this front part in my case. And then there's just 2 screws holding this front frame onto the back section. And these are Phillips screws. And then you're left with this mounting panel on the back, which I'm going to keep because that gets rid of the curve that way. It does still curve that way, but you can simply stick your replacement number plate on that with some self-adhesive pads, and the frame is exactly the same size as a standard UK plate. So you might see a little bit of a black lip, but not much at all. So that's what I'm going to do in my case. As I said, many people also remove this backing plate and then use a flexible self-adhesive plate and stick that straight on the bumper, but I don't like the way they look, and strictly they're not legal anyway. It's unlikely an MOT tester will fail it. They're more interested in illegally spaced characters. But if you're going to use a legal rigid plate, whether that's acrylic or aluminium, then you want to leave this mounting plate here because that gives you a flat surface to stick it onto. So the first job is we want to make sure this frame is nice and clean, because we want those self-adhesive sticky pads to work first time. It's also worth using a hairdryer or hot air gun and getting any moisture off that plastic before you use the sticky adhesive pads, because it's quite surprising, even though it can feel dry and look dry, there's often a layer of moisture there which you do want to get rid of before you use the sticky pads. And it's also worth warming the glue a little bit on the adhesive pads. So at this stage I could stick a number of pads along here or stick them on the number plate. In reality, with this method, it's not going to make any difference either way. So I've gone with 4 pads on either side, which is a bit of an overkill. 2 would work just fine, but 4 pads is about the coverage of that flat area. And again, just get the moisture off there, warm the glue up on the pads, and that just makes sure that it sticks just right first time, because we've also got to curve the plate, so there's quite a bit of pressure on there. So we line that up like that, then apply a bit of pressure, and that's the front plate done. As you can see, in this case I'm using our standard lip plates, but I've just noticed I've made a mistake on this. I've printed the BS number on the white reflective vinyl, whereas it's already printed in the lip plate, so I've got it twice. So that's a shame, I didn't notice that, but it's not worth peeling this off and starting again, so we'll have to live with that. But anyway, that's the front done. So let's do the back. So when it comes to fitting the back one, I am looking forward to getting rid of that bit of rattle there. So let's remove this bottom piece and get the number plate out, and then take these 2 screws out again. So when it comes to fitting a number plate on the back, you can again leave the back mounting plate there, but it is slightly bigger than a standard UK number plate. So if you stick a number plate on there, you do still see the black frame at the back, but actually it looks just fine. But in my case, because I'm using a lipped number plate, I've really got to get rid of that as well. So before I go any further, I'm going to stick some masking tape on the paintwork there, so I can find the center point of the boot lid, because it's going to be easier to measure off that than measure off the whole boot lid, because it's curved. And you assume that that's fitted centrally in the factory. You can also measure off the point of the badge, but sometimes those aren't central, particularly if the vehicle's been in a body shop and had rear end damage. So I'm going to find the center point of the number plate, just put a little mark there on the masking tape with a pen, then I can remove that, and when I stick the number plate back on the bodywork, I know I've got it in the middle. So that's 526 millimeters. So we want 263, which is there. Don't have to be really precise with this. But anyway, that's the center point. So I can now remove those, and they are Torx screws. And these screws are a T20 Torx. And then we need to give this a very good clean and dry, because this wants to be very clean, of course, for the adhesive pads to stick to the paintwork. So again, warm up the paintwork so it gets rid of any moisture, and it makes the sticky pads stick better. Warm up the sticky pads as well, it all helps. And you can see I've marked the center point of the plate, which I'm going to line up there, which I know is the middle of the vehicle. And again, the plate has to curve. So I've gone with 3 pads on either side, which should be enough, but we've got to make sure that sticks down properly, and I've also got to make sure I get the level right, which I'm just going to have to do by eye. So this is those times where you've got to get it right first time. And if you don't, it looks terrible from the back. But anyway, I think that's level. So I'm just going to hold those for 30 seconds or so. So there we go, that looks much better. No black frame. And that's going to look a much neater job. Around 94% of the viewers of this channel are not subscribed. I'm sorry to ask, but it would help greatly if you would. Just press the subscribe button. It's free and it shows YouTube you like this vehicle related content. If you want to be notified when new videos are released, click on the bell button also. Thank you, it really helps more than you would imagine. Obviously when you change your number plate, you've got to use your retention certificate online to issue a new 5. You've also got to change your insurance, but also go through any apps you've got, any parking apps or charging apps, and change your number plate in those as well. I have just noticed on my front plate that I didn't stick this front plate on square. There's 0.5 millimetre of black plastic showing there when you look from the front of the car, which is a shame, so I might do this one again. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please do click the thumbs up, that really does help. Do subscribe to the channel, and if you want to know more about the Tesla Model Y, I'll put a link below to a playlist where you can see other videos I've made on this car. Okie doke, I'll see you on the next one.